From Delaware's most award-winning radio news team, this is WDEL Video News. Here's Carl Konevsky.
Among Delaware's top stories for Monday, July 2nd, the state has a new operating budget as the first business day of the new fiscal year gets underway. Members of the House of Representatives vote to open the doors of their business to the public, and after some emotional debate, legislation to regulate stem cell research remains on hold. Here are the details. Before adjourning for the year early yesterday morning, members of the Delaware General Assembly approved the operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 2008. Governor Minner signed off on the budget, bond bill, and grant and aid legislation early Sunday morning. Senate Minority Leader Charlie Copeland, a Centerville Republican, said the $3.285 billion budget represents an almost 6% growth, and that's irresponsible.
4% the revenues increase. What did our expenses increase? 6%. Well, I don't know about you, but I can't go for a long period of time in my house with my revenues going up 4% and my expenses going up 6%. And the revenue forecast for next year is no better.
State Senator Colin Benini, a Dover Republican, says Delaware has a spending problem, and it clearly shows with the passage of the capital budget.
The bond bill was shameful. We had pure political pork in that bond bill, and that was funded directly, and everybody admits it, dollar for dollar, by tax and fee increases on our constituents.
The bond bill totaled $539 million, including $256 million for transportation-related projects. Governor Minner praised the members of the bond bill and joint finance committees for their hard work this session. In signing legislation raising the state's cigarette tax, she said the $48 million the hike will bring is a win-win.
This increase will not only provide the state with critical resources, it is, in fact, a fact that young people don't start smoking when they see that increase, and many others stop smoking, which is good for all of our health.
Minner also said the $256 million for the Transportation Trust Fund in next year's bond bill will have a far-reaching effect, with the state's economy benefiting from the extra money from motor vehicle fees and toll increases going to the bond bill.
Economic development in this state was resting sort of on the back of what we did with the trust fund and how we moved forward with it. And it did make a difference. We had many companies who were saying, well, if you're not going to keep your roads up, that means a problem for us.
Minner says all items in the operating and capital budgets represent increased demands for the state. Members of the House of Representatives kept their promise and passed a bill opening most of their meetings to the public. Party caucus meetings would remain closed, and any committee can call for an executive session after a majority vote by members of the committee. The bill also allows for any U.S. citizen to review and copy legislative records. The legislation was sent to the Senate but didn't see action before adjournment. Legislation regulating stem cell research failed in the House of Representatives and is dead for now. Greenville Republican Debbie Hudson sponsored the bill and offered amendments designed to clarify its ban on cloning for reproductive purposes, but as a result led some members to believe it outlaws the legal practice of cell transplantation for research. Stephanie Hansen of Stem Cell Go says that research is essential.
It holds the best chance for cures and treatments for some of today's most devastating illnesses, such as Lou Gehrig's, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, spinal cord injuries. The medical community is in agreement that embryonic stem cell research holds the most promise for treatments and cures for those most devastating diseases.
Ellen Barros of the group A Rose and a Prayer says defeating the bill shows respect for all humans living and those not yet born.
Every medical textbook out there, embryology textbook out there, says a human embryo is the earliest stage in the life of a human being. The fact that this is a human being is not a religious belief, it's not a philosophical belief, it's a scientific fact. And the question then is, which human beings are deserving of our respect and protection, and which are not? After the vote failed, Representative Melanie Marshall, a Democrat from Bear, said she'd work to clear up the language and bring the bill back to the floor next year. Some state lawmakers say your traffic violations shouldn't earn you a criminal record. WDEL News continues in a moment.
You could spend your money at the gas pump, or you could spend it on those sexy pumps at your favorite store. Let DART do the driving. Travel smart. Choose DART.
Wilmington police say a Newark woman made threats on police officers, and after they arrested her, she fought with them and kicked out a window in a police cruiser. Police say Cherie Young yelled obscenities at officers and kicked, punched, scratched, and spit on them when they tried to arrest her. After Young was handcuffed and placed in the back seat of a police car, she allegedly kicked out its back window. Several officers were treated for wounds sustained during the fight. Young is being charged with criminal mischief, assault on an officer, terroristic threatening, and other charges. She's being held at the Baylor Women's Correctional Institute. Delaware State Police say a man suspected in 11 business robberies is behind bars. 39-year-old Ulysses Dash was arrested after troopers saw him kick in the glass door of a Chinese restaurant in the Brandmar Shopping Center. They say Dash stole $400, then took off when an officer tried to stop him. Dash was arrested a short time later and faces a number of charges, including 11 felony counts of burglary, menacing, and criminal mischief. Members of the State House of Representatives say traffic violations should no longer carry criminal penalties. Legislation sponsored by Tallyville Republican Bob Valahura makes most motor vehicle offenses civil infractions, with exceptions including DUI, aggressive and reckless driving, and driving that causes injury.
The consequences of having a criminal record in today's post-9/11 world are dramatic. And indeed, folks have been refused employment opportunities because they do, in fact, have a criminal record.
If enacted, trials would be handled by the Justice of the Peace Courts, freeing up members of the Attorney General's office to work on more complex criminal matters. Legislation aimed to keep candidates unsuccessful in primary elections from running in the upcoming general election for a different party failed in the House of Representatives. Opponents like Common Cause say it's an anti-civil rights and anti-voters' rights bill, silencing the voice of candidates and the voting population. House Minority Leader and bill sponsor Bob Gilligan sees it differently.
I say it's similar to the NCAA tournament every year that we all participate in. There's 64 teams in the college basketball championship. If you lose, then you're out of the tournament. You can't come back the next day and say, I want to play again. Mark
Brunswick of the A. Philip Randolph Institute opposed the legislation.
We see it as an anti-civil rights and anti-voting rights measure. It is being portrayed as something for sore losers in primaries to get back at their parties, but in fact, it's a measure that's going to ensure party control of voters.
Democrat candidate for Congress Karen Hartley-Nagel lost a primary to Dennis Spivak last year, only to sign on with the Independent Party of Delaware to face Spivak and Congressman Mike Castle in the November general election. Jimmy Rollins took things into his own hands to help the Phillies avoid a sweep at the hands of the New York Mets. WDEL Sports and AccuWeather are coming up.
Looking to gain an edge in the technology or design field? Wilmington College's Division of Information Technology and Advanced Communications offers state-of-the-art facilities equipped with the latest tools. Achieve balance, achieve success.
In WDEL Sports, a Jimmy Rollins two-run home run helped the Phillies salvage the final game of a four-game series with the Mets 5-3. Shane Victorino had 3 hits, including a home run of his own to help rookie Kyle Kendrick pick up his 3rd win without a loss. The Phillies hit the road to take on the Houston Astros tonight. Jamie Moyer goes for the Phillies against Woody Williams. You can hear all the action on WDEL starting at 7:30. Chase Utley gets a trip to San Francisco for next week's All-Star game, courtesy of the fans, who voted him the starting second baseman for the National League. Phil's left-hander Cole Hamels and center fielder Aaron Rowan will join Utley on the National League team. The only Orioles representative for the American League is second baseman Brian Roberts. Blake Johnson and Arthur Santos combined on a 4-hit shutout as they pitched the Blue Rocks to a 2-0 win over the Salem Avalanche. More from WDEL's Sean Green.
The Blue Rocks wearing throwback 1993 jerseys as they hosted Salem yesterday afternoon. Top of the first inning were scoreless when Wilver Perez hits his ground ball to second, booted by Vladimir Sutil. On the play, Mark Maddox scores, and the Rocks had the 1-0 lead. Next pitch, Salem starter Brad James uncorks the wild pitch. Brian McFall would score on the play, and on the same play, Wilver Perez, he'll try his luck. Called out, but he on the play jams his ankle against home plate. Would come up and actually attempt to go after James. He'd have to be restrained by the home plate umpire, but Wilmington had the 2-0 lead. Same score into the 9th when Rocks pitcher Arthur Santos comes in to preserve the shutout, strikes out as Waldo Fernando and Mitch Einertson for the final out of the game on the looking 3rd strike, and the Rocks will get the 2-0 win. Sean Green, 11:50 a.m., WDEL Sports.
The Flyers pulled off the first big signing of the NHL's free agent period, inking Daniel Briere to an 8-year, $52 million deal. The former Buffalo co-captain was 10th in the league last year with 95 points. The Flyers also pulled off a 4-player deal with the Edmonton Oilers, sending defenseman Yanni Pitkanen and forward Jeff Sanderson to Edmonton for defenseman Jason Smith and forward Jeffrey Lupul. Your WDEL Delaware AccuWeather forecast. Mostly sunny today with a high of 80 degrees. Tonight, clear skies, low down to 56. Tomorrow, a mixture of sun and clouds, a high of 82. Then on Wednesday, clouds and sun, maybe a thunderstorm in the afternoon or evening, and a high of 82 degrees. I'm Carl Konevsky in for Chris Carl. Thanks for watching.